Greetings, cozy knights. Lower your swords and rest by the fire. Tonight, we journey through 150 hidden secrets buried deep within the frozen lands of Skyrim. From forgotten ruins to whispered legends, from enchanted weapons resting in shadowed corners to mysteries that even the most dedicated adventurers have missed, we'll explore them all together. So settle into your bedroll, let the crackling fire warm your bones, and prepare for a journey through the most secretive corners of Tamriel's northern province. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're listening from tonight and which games you'd like me to cover next. If you're enjoying these peaceful journeys, don't forget to subscribe so you catch every new video. The Headless Horseman's Midnight Ride. As twilight descends upon Skyrim's winding roads, travelers occasionally report a chilling sight that defies explanation. The Headless Horseman, a spectral figure shrouded in darkness, rides through the night on a phantom steed. This ghostly rider appears randomly on certain roads after dark, particularly near Whiterun and along the paths connecting major holds. Unlike most spirits in Skyrim, this one doesn't seek confrontation. Instead, it simply rides, driven by some ancient purpose lost to time. If you're brave enough or curious enough to follow this headless spectre through the darkness, you'll embark on an eerie chase across Skyrim's landscape. The horseman moves with purpose, never wavering from his path, never acknowledging your presence. He'll lead you on a winding journey through forests and over hills, past sleeping settlements and across moonlit streams. The ride culminates at a place called Hamvir's Rest, a small burial ground tucked away from the main roads. At Hamvir's Rest, the Headless Horseman completes his nightly vigil. Here, you'll discover a headless skeleton laid to rest in a sarcophagus, with a skull and helmet placed carefully on the ground nearby. This is presumably the horseman's final resting place, though death has not granted him peace. Night after night, he rides this same path, forever bound to some unfinished business from his mortal life. The scene is a poignant reminder that in Skyrim, death doesn't always mean the end of one's journey. Some souls remain tethered to the world, replaying their final moments or searching for something they'll never find. This reference to Washington Irving's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow shows Bethesda's attention to folklore and literary tradition. But unlike Ichabod Crane's terrifying encounter, following Skyrim's Headless Horseman reveals not horror but melancholy, a story of eternal restlessness told without words. The Notched Pickaxe at the summit high above the clouds, where the air grows thin and the wind howls with primal fury, stands the throat of the world, Skyrim's tallest peak. Most travelers stop at the monastery of High Hrothgar, home to the ancient greybeards, but the mountain secrets don't end there. For those willing to climb higher, to push past the summit where Paarthurnax makes his roost, there awaits a singular discovery. The journey to the very apex requires determination. The mountain slopes grow treacherous, and normal paths give way to sheer rock faces. You'll need to employ careful jumping, finding footholds where none seem to exist, strafe jumping your way up surfaces that seem impossible to scale. The bitter cold bites at exposed skin, and the wind threatens to sweep you from your precarious perches. But perseverance rewards the intrepid climber. At the absolute peak of the throat of the world, embedded in the rock itself, you'll discover the Notched Pickaxe. This unique tool isn't just any mining implement. It carries an enchantment that increases your smithing skill by 5 points while equipped, and it deals shock damage when used as a weapon. The pickaxe itself is a loving nod to Marcus Notch Persson, the creator of Minecraft, another game where pickaxes play a central role and where crafting and smithing form core gameplay mechanics. The location is particularly fitting. Just as Minecraft players often seek the highest peaks in their blocky worlds, here in Skyrim, you must climb to the absolute summit to claim this treasure. The pickaxe's placement also came at an interesting time in gaming history. Bethesda and Mojang, the studio behind Minecraft, had recently been involved in a legal dispute over the trademark for the word scrolls, which Mojang wanted to use for another game. The Notched Pickaxe seems to be Bethesda's way of saying there were no hard feelings, a gesture of respect between creative studios. Finding this pickaxe early in your adventures can provide a significant boost to your smithing abilities, making it easier to craft and improve equipment. But even for high-level characters, the journey to claim it offers its own reward. Standing at the absolute peak of Skyrim's highest mountain, you can see the entire province spread before you like a map come to life. The view alone makes the climb worthwhile. Maik, the Liar's wandering wisdom. Among all of Skyrim's colourful characters, none is quite as enigmatic as Maik the Liar, a Khajiit who has somehow appeared in multiple Elder Scrolls games across centuries of in-game time. This mysterious wanderer serves as Bethesda's mouthpiece, offering commentary on game design decisions, responding to player feedback, and making self-aware jokes about the Elder Scrolls series itself. Maik can appear almost anywhere in Skyrim, walking the roads between cities or encountered in the wilderness. His spawn locations are intentionally random, making each meeting feel like chance rather than design. When you speak with him, he offers observations that break the fourth wall in subtle ways. Maik knows much, tells some. Maik knows many things others do not, he might say, his words carrying layers of meaning. His dialogue touches on features that were removed from Skyrim compared to earlier games, or addresses common player complaints and requests. For instance, he might comment on the absence of spears as weapons, saying, "Maik is tired of walking. Maik wishes he could fly. So many mountains, so little time. Perhaps Maik should have been born a dragon." This simultaneously acknowledges player requests for different traversal options while playfully dismissing them. Some of Maik's statements reference specific controversies or discussions in the Elder Scrolls community. When he says, "Maik is always in search of calipers, yet finds none. Where could they have gone?" He's referencing the abundance of calipers in Morrowind and their conspicuous absence in Skyrim. His comment about dragons, "Some people wish to fight naked. Maik thinks this is crazy. Maik once went to jail for this," playfully acknowledges players who enjoyed challenging themselves by fighting difficult enemies without armor. The character's very existence across multiple games spanning hundreds of years of timeline raises questions. Is Maik immortal? Are there multiple Maiks, all perpetuating the same act? Is he perhaps a Daedric entity taking mortal form? The game never answers these questions, preferring to leave Maik as an eternal mystery, a cosmic joke that the universe seems to be in on. Finding Maik feels special precisely because it's unpredictable. You might encounter him while fleeing from a dragon, stumble across him during a quiet moment of exploration, or meet him on the road to somewhere important. each meeting offers new dialogue, new observations, and reminds players that Skyrim's creators were aware of their audience, engaged with their community, and willing to poke fun at themselves. Blackreach's hidden dragon deep beneath Skyrim's surface lies one of the game's most spectacular locations. Blackreach is a vast underground realm, a massive cavern system lit by glowing mushrooms and bioluminescent plants. The ancient Dwemer built a city here, constructing their bronze mechanisms and conducting their mysterious experiments far from the scrutiny of surface dwellers. Today, the ruins remain, inhabited by Thalmor, the twisted descendants of the snow elves, and various other subterranean creatures. Most players discover Blackreach during the main quest line, as reaching it is necessary to progress the story. The initial descent into this underworld is breathtaking. The cavern opens up to reveal a space so enormous it contains weather patterns, with glowing lights in the ceiling mimicking stars. The Dwemer architecture rises in geometric splendor, and everywhere the blue-green luminescence of strange fungi casts everything in an otherworldly glow. But Blackreach harbors a secret that most visitors never discover. At the center of the cavern, above the debate hall and hall of rumination, hangs a large glowing orb. This artificial sun, a Dwemer creation, illuminates much of the central area. It appears to be merely atmospheric, part of the impressive but ultimately decorative Dwemer technology scattered throughout the ruins. However, if you use the unrelenting force shout on this orb, something extraordinary happens. The orb resonates with the Thuum, and moments later, a dragon appears. Not just any dragon, but Vulthuriel, a unique creature that has somehow survived beneath the earth for untold centuries. The dragon's presence raises fascinating questions. How did it come to be trapped in Blackreach? Has it been here since before the Dwemer disappeared? Did it somehow get sealed beneath the mountains during the Dragon War? The fight with Vulthuriel is unusual because the dragon largely remains grounded, possibly due to the cavern's ceiling. This makes it a unique dragon encounter, more of a terrestrial battle than the aerial combat most dragon fights involve. Defeating Vulthuriel yields the standard dragon loot and a dragon soul, but the real reward is the story it tells. Consider what Vulthuriel's existence means. This dragon has been sealed underground for potentially thousands of years, surviving in darkness, while its kin either died in the Dragon War or slept in word walls across Skyrim. It suggests that not all dragons met the same fate, that the history of these creatures is more complex than the main storyline reveals. Perhaps this dragon was imprisoned here by the Dwemer, or maybe it sought refuge in the depths, hiding from the ancient Nord heroes who hunted its kind. The method of summoning Vulthuriel, using a shout on the artificial sun, also carries symbolic weight. The Thuum, the voice of dragons, awakens a dragon that slumbered in darkness, calling it forth through Dwemer technology that predates the understanding of most scholars. It's a convergence of ancient powers, a moment where different eras of Tamriel's history collide in spectacular fashion. The Pac-Man Easter egg. Sometimes secrets hide in plain sight, waiting for observers with the right perspective to notice them. In the city of Markarth, a place known for its Dwemer architecture and its dark secrets, players can visit Calixto's House of Curiosities, a small museum displaying various oddities and artifacts. Calixto himself is part of a larger mystery in Windhelm, but his collection in Markarth deserves its own examination. if you pay to view the museum's contents, you'll find yourself surrounded by strange items, each with its own story. There's Ysgramor's soup spoon, which is actually a fork, prompting Calixto's defensive response. Well, my friend, you did not know Ysgramor. There's a flute resembling the instrument of the Pied Piper, and various other curiosities that range from the authentic to the dubious. But one display requires looking at the museum from a different angle. On a shelf, you'll find an arrangement of sliced goat cheese, several heads of garlic, and some glow dust. At first glance, it seems like a random collection of food items. But if you look at it from the right perspective, the pattern becomes clear. The arrangement deliberately recreates the classic arcade game Pac-Man, with the cheese wheels forming the maze, the garlic representing pellets, and the glow dust standing in for the ghosts that chase Pac-Man through the labyrinth. This Easter egg exemplifies Bethesda's attention to detail and their willingness to include playful references for observant players. It doesn't affect gameplay, offers no mechanical benefit, and exists purely for the joy of discovery. Someone at Bethesda took the time to carefully arrange these items, knowing that most players would walk right past without noticing, but that a few would catch the reference and appreciate the joke. The Pac-Man Easter egg also fits thematically within Calixto's museum. The entire collection is a mix of genuine artifacts and suspicious items, things that might be legendary or might be complete fabrications. Adding a reference to a video game from our world continues that theme of blending truth and fiction, reality and imagination. It acknowledges that Skyrim itself is a game, a created world, and that the boundary between the game world and our world is more permeable than we might think. The Giant's Mourning. Not all of Skyrim's secrets involve treasure or combat. Some reveal the emotional depth of the world, showing that even creatures typically seen as monsters possess complex inner lives. Northeast of Mistwatch, in a sulfur pool area, known to players as Mistwatch Folly, you can witness a scene that has moved countless players and changed how they view Skyrim's giants. Giants in Skyrim are typically presented as hostile creatures. They're massive, powerful, and their clubs can send unwary adventurers flying through the air in what the community has dubbed Skyrim's space program. They guard their mammoths fiercely, and approaching too close usually results in violence. Most players learn early to give giant camps a wide berth, unless they're confident in their combat abilities. But at this particular location, a single giant stands beside a dead mammoth at the edge of a sulfur pool. Unlike every other giant in the game, this one doesn't attack on sight. In fact, it won't attack at all unless you strike first. If you approach carefully, you can stand right next to it, and it simply continues its vigil. The giant's posture, its stillness, and the placement of the scene all convey a sense of profound sadness. The mammoth apparently died from drinking the sulfuric water, a tragic accident that has left the giant bereft. Mammoths and giants share a symbiotic relationship in Skyrim. Giants herd mammoths, protect them, and clearly form attachments to these creatures. To witness a giant mourning, refusing to leave the side of its dead companion, even to defend itself, reveals depth to these creatures that the game otherwise doesn't explicitly show. This scene serves as a powerful counterpoint to the violence that typically defines player-giant interactions. It suggests that giants possess emotional intelligence, that they feel loss and grief, that they're capable of loyalty and love. The fact that the giant remains non-hostile even to approaching strangers suggests it's lost in grief so profound that nothing else matters. The world could end around it, and it would still stand there mourning. Many players report that after discovering this scene, they couldn't bring themselves to hunt giants or their mammoths anymore. What was once simply a source of giants' toes for potion making becomes something more complicated. Each giant you encounter might be someone's friend, someone's family. Each mammoth might have a giant who would mourn its passing. The mournful giant represents environmental storytelling at its finest. There's no quest marker, no dialogue, no journal entry to explain what you're seeing. The scene speaks for itself, trusting players to observe, to understand, and to feel the weight of what they're witnessing. It's a reminder that Skyrim's world exists beyond the player character, that stories unfold whether or not we're there to witness them, and that sometimes the most powerful moments come not from grand battles or epic quests, but from quiet scenes of genuine emotion. The frozen Mammoth Glacier. In the frozen northern reaches of Skyrim, north of Alfdund and west of Sarthal, the landscape becomes increasingly hostile. Snow falls in relentless sheets, visibility drops to near zero during storms, and the cold itself becomes an enemy. This is the domain of frost trolls, ice wraiths, and other creatures adapted to survive in one of Tamriel's harshest environments. But hidden among the ice and snow is a sight that tells a story thousands of years old. Frozen into a massive glacier, preserved perfectly by the eternal ice, is the body of a giant mammoth. This isn't just any mammoth found frozen by chance. Upon closer examination, you can see dwarven spears and arrows embedded in its body, weapons from a civilization that disappeared from Tamriel over 3,000 years ago. The positioning of the mammoth suggests it was actively fleeing when it was struck down. Perhaps it wandered away from its giant herders and encountered a Dwemer hunting party. Or perhaps this was during a period of conflict between the giants and the Dwemer, a skirmish from a war that history has forgotten. The Dwemer, with their advanced metalworking and crossbow technology, would have had significant advantages over the mammoths and giants, even if those advantages ultimately didn't save them from their mysterious disappearance. Players can actually climb onto the frozen mammoth's back, carefully navigating the glacier's slippery surface. Lodged in the mammoth's flesh is a unique weapon, a two-handed axe that has been preserved along with the creature for millennia. Claiming this weapon requires a careful approach, as sliding off the glacier can result in a long fall. The frozen mammoth serves as a window into Skyrim's ancient past. It's a reminder that before the Nords established their holds, before the Dragon War, before recorded history as Skyrim knows it, other civilizations thrived here. The Dwemer left their mark across the land, their ruins still standing, their automatons still functioning, their weapons still sharp. This mammoth is a casualty of conflicts that have been forgotten by all but the most dedicated scholars. There's also something poignant about the preservation. The mammoth, this creature of warmth and life, has been suspended in ice for thousands of years, its moment of death frozen forever. The Dwemer who killed it are gone. Their entire race vanished in an instant, during a mysterious event no one fully understands. The civilization that forged these weapons has crumbled, but the weapons themselves remain still deadly, still unchanged. Time has moved on, ages have passed, empires have risen and fallen. But here in the ice, one moment from the ancient past remains perfectly preserved. Bard's Leap Summit and the ghostly musician southeast of Markarth, high in the Reaches Mountains, water cascades down a series of dramatic waterfalls. The area is home to Forsworn, the native Reachmen who violently oppose Nord rule, making the journey to reach the summit dangerous even before you face the natural hazards. But for those who brave the climb through Lost Valley Redoubt, ascending the maze of ruins built along the river, a unique reward awaits at the top. Bard's Leap Summit takes its name from an old tradition, though most who hear the name probably assume it's just a picturesque title. At the very top of the waterfall, near a Hagraven's altar, you'll find a small platform that extends out over the drop. The water plunges dozens of meters below, and standing at the edge, you can see the entire valley spread out before you. This is where you're meant to jump. The leap of faith from Bard's Leap Summit is a direct reference to Assassin's Creed's iconic mechanic, but it carries its own significance in Skyrim's world. Taking the plunge requires trust, a willingness to let go and fall, to commit fully to the descent. The fall seems fatal, and indeed, if you try to scramble down the rocks instead of making a clean leap, you'll likely die from the descent. But if you jump properly, if you make a true leap from the summit platform, you'll survive the fall, plunging deep into the pool at the base of the waterfall. And when you surface, you'll find you're not alone. The ghost of a Redguard bard awaits you at the bottom, his spectral form barely visible in the mist from the falls. The ghost congratulates you on your successful leap, recognizing you as someone worthy of a bard's acknowledgement. He then grants you a permanent bonus to your speech skill, increasing it by 2 points. It's not a massive boost, but it's permanent, and it comes with a story. You can tell people you earned it by leaping from Bard's Leap Summit, by following in the footsteps of musicians who came before, who jumped from that height and lived to sing about it. The leap itself is exhilarating. There's that moment of suspension, of free fall, where the world seems to slow down. You watch the rocks blur past, the water rushing up to meet you, and you wonder if you've made a terrible mistake. Then the impact, the plunge beneath the surface, the momentary disorientation, and finally, surfacing to find yourself alive, the ghost waiting to acknowledge your feat. This secret combines multiple elements that make Skyrim special. There's the environmental storytelling, the way the location itself tells you what to do without explicit instructions. There's the reward that's modest but meaningful, a permanent character advancement tied to a specific action and place. There's the reference to other games, acknowledging the medium while maintaining immersion in Skyrim's world. And there's the sense of accomplishment, of having discovered and completed something most players never find. The treasure of Kagrenzel, far off the beaten path, in the mountains east of Ansilvund, lies Kagrenzel, a Dwemer ruin that appears similar to countless others scattered across Skyrim. The journey to reach it requires navigation through difficult terrain, and the entrance gives no hint of what awaits inside. Most players never discover this location, as no quest leads here, and the area is remote enough that random exploration rarely brings travelers to its door. The interior of Kagrenzel is deceptive. Unlike the sprawling Dwemer dungeons filled with automatons, traps and treasures, Kagrenzel's entrance area is a single large room. At its center floats a strange orb of light, pulsing with an otherworldly glow. The room is otherwise empty, with no visible exits, no enemies, no chests to loot. It seems like a dead end, a disappointment after the journey to get here. But if you're curious enough to interact with the light, everything changes. The moment you activate it, a cage rises from the floor, trapping you. Sirens begin to wail, an alarming sound that echoes off the stone walls. You have just seconds to realize you've triggered an ancient Dwemer security system before the floor gives way entirely. The fall is tremendous. You plummet through darkness, down through the mountain itself, falling for what feels like an impossibly long time. If you happen to glance to the sides during your descent, you might catch a glimpse of something extraordinary. Whale skeletons embedded in the rock. These are the remains of snow whales, legendary creatures mentioned in various texts throughout the Elder Scrolls series, but rarely seen. These flying whales once soared through Skyrim's skies, and somehow these particular specimens ended up entombed in the mountain itself. The fall finally ends in an underground pool, deep in the earth. The water breaks your fall, saving you from certain death. From here, a long pathway leads back toward the surface, winding through caverns inhabited by Thalmor, the blind descendants of the Snow Elves. This journey out of Kagrenzel's depths is its own adventure, requiring combat and navigation through the darkness. Kagrenzel serves no larger purpose in Skyrim's quests. There's no legendary artifact waiting at the bottom, no crucial piece of lore to discover. It exists purely as a trap, as an experience, as a reminder that the Dwemer were capable of creating mechanisms whose purposes we can barely understand. Was this security system designed to deal with intruders? Was it a test of some kind? An execution method? The game never explains, leaving players to draw their own conclusions. The brief glimpse of snow whale skeletons adds another layer of mystery. These creatures are part of Skyrim's deep lore, mentioned in historical texts, but never encountered alive in the game. Their presence here raises questions about Skyrim's ancient past, about the creatures that once inhabited this land, about how these whales came to be entombed in stone deep within a mountain. The Soul Cairn's Hidden Reaper, the Dawnguard expansion, takes players to some of the most otherworldly locations in all of Skyrim. Among these is the Soul Cairn, a realm of oblivion where souls are trapped and harvested by the ideal masters. It's a place of perpetual twilight, where dead trees reach toward a starless sky, and the ground is covered in soul husks, the drained remnants of mortal souls. The Soul Cairn is vast, filled with lost souls who will speak with you, sharing their stories of how they came to be trapped in this purgatory. There are dragons here too, souls of ancient dragons kept prisoner in this realm. The entire place radiates despair and hopelessness, a realm where even death offers no escape. But among the many inhabitants of the Soul Cairn, one entity stands apart. The Reaper appears to be this realm's warden, a powerful undead creature that doesn't simply attack on sight like most enemies. Instead, the Reaper must be summoned, and doing so requires finding 3 Reaper gem fragments scattered throughout the Soul Cairn. These fragments are easy to miss. They're small, placed in out-of-the-way locations, and the game gives you no quest markers or instructions to find them. You have to explore thoroughly, paying attention to your surroundings, investigating areas that seem insignificant. Each fragment you find brings you closer to facing one of Skyrim's most formidable hidden bosses. Once you've collected all 3 fragments, you can take them to the Reaper's lair in the eastern part of the Soul Cairn. Here, combining the fragments summons the Reaper itself. This entity is unlike other enemies in the game. It appears as a massive floating undead creature, radiating dark energy, wielding power over the souls trapped in this realm. The fight against the Reaper is challenging. It uses powerful magic, summons minions, and hits hard with physical attacks. This is not an encounter for low-level characters or those unprepared for a serious fight. The Reaper seems to have authority over the Soul Cairn itself, as if it's an intrinsic part of this realm's function, maintaining order among the countless trapped souls. Defeating the Reaper yields valuable rewards, black soul gems, which are among the most valuable items for enchanters, and a Daedra heart, a rare alchemy ingredient. But the real reward is the accomplishment itself, of having discovered this optional boss, collected the fragments, and emerged victorious from the confrontation. The Reaper's existence raises questions about the nature of the Soul Cairn. Who or what created this entity? Does it serve the ideal masters, or does it have its own agenda? Was it once mortal, or was it born of the Soul Cairn itself? The game offers no answers, preferring to leave the Reaper as one more mystery in a realm filled with them. The 10th Dragon Priest Mask. Across Skyrim, in ancient Nordic ruins, rest 8 powerful dragon priests. These ancient mages served the dragons during the Dragon War, wielding terrible power and commanding legions of Draga. Even in death, they remain formidable, and each guards a unique mask imbued with powerful enchantments. Collecting these masks becomes a goal for many players, as each provides significant bonuses to different playstyles. The 8 Dragon Priest masks are found in specific locations: Crosis at Sheerpoint, Moroke at Labyrinthian, Nakreen at Skuldafn, Ota at Ragnvald, Ragot at Forlhost, Vokun at Highgate Ruins, Volsung at Volskige, and Hevnorag at Valdhume. Each presents a challenging fight, and each mask is a trophy worthy of the effort required to claim it. But few players realize that these 8 masks are not the complete collection. A 9th mask, the wooden mask of Konarik, can be found in Labyrinthian, specifically in Bromjuna Sanctuary, within the ruins. This wooden mask seems inferior to the others, lacking their impressive enchantments, and its purpose is unclear until you've gathered the other 8. When you wear the wooden mask while standing in the sanctuary, something extraordinary happens. The world around you shifts, and you're transported back in time to when the sanctuary was intact, before it became the ruin you know. The dragon shrine stands whole and functional, untouched by the centuries of decay. In this past version of the sanctuary, you'll find a shrine with 8 pedestals, each corresponding to one of the Dragon Priest masks. Place each mask in its designated spot, and when all 8 are in position, the shrine activates. Rising from the center appears the final mask, Konahrik, whose name means warlord in the dragon language. Konahrik is unique among the Dragon Priest masks. While the others have specific static enchantments, Konahrik's power is reactive. When your health drops below a certain threshold, the mask has a chance to trigger powerful effects. It might heal you, summon a protective spectral dragon priest to fight by your side, or damage nearby enemies. This makes it incredibly valuable for difficult fights, as it provides a safety net that can turn the tide of battle at critical moments. The quest to collect all the masks and discover Konahrik is one of Skyrim's greatest hidden achievements. It requires exploring numerous dangerous dungeons, defeating some of the game's toughest enemies, and then making the connection between the wooden mask and the shrine. Many players collect the 8 main masks without ever realizing a 9th exists, or they find the wooden mask but don't understand its purpose. This secret exemplifies what makes exploration in Skyrim rewarding. The game doesn't hold your hand or explicitly tell you that collecting all 8 masks will lead to something more. You have to figure it out through experimentation, through paying attention to environmental clues, through connecting pieces of a puzzle that the game scatters across its vast world. And when you finally place that 8th mask and watch Konarek rise from the shrine, you feel like you've truly discovered something special, something that rewards thorough exploration and attention to detail. The secret of the Briarheart warriors. Among the Forsworn who inhabit the Reach, the most fearsome warriors are the Briarhearts. These fighters have undergone a brutal ritual, having their hearts cut out and replaced with a Briarheart plant grown from special seeds. The transformation grants them increased strength and resilience, making them dangerous opponents who often lead Forsworn camps and redoubts. Fighting a Briarheart typically means a prolonged battle. They hit hard, they have significant health pools, and they're usually accompanied by other Forsworn who will join the fight. For lower level characters especially, Briarhearts represent a serious threat, capable of ending an adventure quickly if you're unprepared. But there's a secret method to defeat a Briarheart instantly, one that bypasses all their enhanced combat abilities. If you've invested heavily in your sneak skill and can approach a Briarheart without being detected, you can attempt to pickpocket them. In their inventory, among whatever weapons and items they carry, you'll find the Briarheart itself, the plant that replaced their original heart. If you successfully steal the Briarheart from a living Briarheart warrior, the effect is immediate and dramatic. The warrior drops dead instantly, their body collapsing as the source of their enhanced life is removed. It's a grisly but effective strategy that turns what would be a difficult fight into a single, silent action. This mechanic showcases Skyrim's systemic design, where different skills and approaches can provide creative solutions to problems. It also makes sense from a lore perspective. The Briarhearts are kept alive by the plant that replaced their hearts. Remove that plant, and the magic sustaining them fails. They're essentially living on borrowed time, animated by the Briarheart rather than by their own life force. The ability to kill a Briarheart through pickpocketing also raises interesting questions about the Forsworn's ritual. If the Briarhearts can be stolen so easily, why don't the Forsworn protect against this vulnerability? Perhaps they consider it so unlikely that anyone could get close enough to attempt it that they don't bother with safeguards. Or perhaps the ritual itself doesn't allow for protection, and this vulnerability is simply the price they pay for their increased combat prowess. For players who enjoy stealth builds, this becomes one of the most satisfying techniques in the game. There's something deeply appropriate about turning the Forsworn's own ritual against them, using their source of strength as their weakness. And there's a certain dark humor in the situation too. The idea that these fearsome warriors can be defeated not through superior combat skill, but through skilled pickpocketing, as if they're merely victims of a very deadly theft. The Silver Moon shipwreck south of Riverwood. If you know where to look, you'll find the Lady Stone standing near the shore of Lake Ilinalta. These standing stones grant blessings to those who activate them, each offering different benefits. The Lady Stone improves how quickly skills increase, making it popular among players who want to level their characters efficiently. But the Lady Stone holds a secret beyond its blessing. If you speak with the residents of Riverwood, particularly if you ask around about local legends, you might hear whispers about the Silver Moon, a trade ship that allegedly sank in Lake Ilinalta long ago. The story has become something of a local myth, a tale told in taverns, but not taken too seriously by most. However, if you dive into the lake just south of the Lady Stone, you'll discover that the legend is true. Resting on the lake bed, partially buried in silt, is the wreck of the Silver Moon. The ship has been down there for years, its wood dark and waterlogged, its cargo lost to time. But treasures remain for those willing to explore the wreck. In the remains of the ship's cabin, you'll find a leveled chest. The contents scale to your level, ensuring that whether you discover this wreck early in your adventure or much later, the reward will be appropriate. This design choice means the Silver Moon remains a worthwhile discovery throughout your playthrough. Wedged into the ship's timbers is a hand axe, still serviceable despite its long submersion. And if you search carefully around the wreck, you might find other items scattered across the lake bed. Objects that fell from the ship as it sank or were thrown overboard in a desperate attempt to keep it afloat. Most poignant is the discovery of the ship's captain himself, or rather, his skeleton. The unfortunate captain apparently went down with his ship, a tragic end to what was probably supposed to be a routine journey across the lake. His bones rest near the wreck, a silent testament to the dangers of Skyrim's waters. The Silver Moon wreck exemplifies environmental storytelling at its finest. There's no quest to find it, no marker on your map, no NPC explicitly telling you exactly where to dive. You hear rumors, you investigate, and you discover something tangible and real. The placement makes sense too, near the Lady Stone, a landmark that locals would use to describe locations. The ship went down south of the Lady Stone becomes specific enough to find if you're actually looking. This secret also rewards players who explore thoroughly, who don't just fast travel between locations, but actually traverse the landscape, observing their surroundings. How many players have activated the Lady Stone without ever knowing that just a short swim away, beneath the lake's surface, rests the wreck of the Silver Moon? The hidden vendor chests. In every major city in Skyrim, merchants ply their trades, offering weapons, armor, potions, ingredients, and all manner of goods. Their inventories refresh every 48 hours of in-game time, restocking their gold and replacing sold items. But have you ever wondered where these items come from when vendors restock? The answer reveals one of Skyrim's most practical secrets. Vendor inventories aren't stored on the NPCs themselves. Instead, each merchant has a hidden chest somewhere in their city, usually placed beneath the game world's surface where players aren't supposed to access it. These chests contain all the merchant's gold and merchandise, and when you trade with a vendor, you're actually interacting with this hidden chest through the merchant as an intermediary. The easiest of these chests to access without console commands is in Dawnstar. Head to the entrance of the Ironbreaker mine. Just before you'd enter the mine, look to your left, where rocks and small pine trees create a natural barrier. If you crouch and carefully navigate into this area, searching near the rocks, you'll find an invisible chest. is not visible to the eye, but you can interact with it. And when you do, you'll discover it contains all the merchandise from the Khajiit caravans that visit Dawnstar. The chest contents are extensive. Thousands of gold pieces, enchanted weapons and armor, valuable gems, soul gems both full and empty, crafting materials and more. It's essentially a merchant's entire inventory, completely accessible if you know where to look. Taking items from the chest technically counts as theft, but since no one can see you interacting with an invisible underground chest, there are no consequences. This discovery has significant implications for gameplay. Players can use this chest to access high-level gear early, to gather expensive materials for crafting, or simply to accumulate wealth quickly. The chest restocks on the same schedule as the merchants it's connected to, meaning you can return every 48 hours and find it replenished. Similar chests exist in other cities, though most are harder to access without exploiting glitches or using console commands. Whiterun has multiple vendor chests beneath various shops. Solitude, Markarth and other holds have their own hidden stores. The placement varies, but the principle remains the same. Somewhere beneath or outside the playable area, there's a chest containing everything that merchant has to sell. From a game design perspective, this system makes sense. It's more efficient to store merchant inventory in a container that can be easily updated and accessed by the game's systems than to tie everything to the NPC themselves. The developers simply assumed these chests would remain hidden, inaccessible to players. But creative players have discovered ways to reach them, turning a behind-the-scenes game mechanic into an exploitable secret. The Lover's Rest, hidden in the mountains northeast of Ivarstead, in an area few players ever explore, lies a place of quiet tragedy. The location isn't marked on your map, isn't mentioned in any quest, and is so far off the main paths that you'd have to be deliberately exploring the wilderness to stumble upon it. But for those who do find it, the story it tells is one of the most touching in all of Skyrim. You'll know you found the right place when you discover two skeletons resting side by side in a small clearing. The way they're positioned suggests they lay down together, choosing to face whatever came next side by side. Near them, you'll find a journal, its pages weathered but still legible. The journal tells the story of two lovers who fled into the mountains to escape some pursuit. The details of what they were running from are sparse, but their love for each other is evident in every line. They write about their hopes of reaching safety, of building a life together, of the future they imagined beyond whatever danger chased them. But the mountains proved treacherous. The journal's final entries describe cold and hunger, the realization that they weren't going to make it to safety. Rather than dying separately, scattered and alone, they chose to spend their final moments together. The journal ends mid-sentence, the writer presumably becoming too weak to continue. There's no legendary treasure here, no powerful weapon or rare artifact, just two skeletons, a journal, and the story of two people who loved each other enough to face death together rather than separately. It's a story that countless players have never encountered, yet it's been there since the game's release, waiting to be discovered. This location exemplifies what makes Skyrim's world feel lived in and real. Not every story is about grand adventures or heroic deeds. Sometimes tragedy strikes ordinary people, lovers who made a desperate choice and paid the ultimate price. The game world is filled with these small stories, environmental narratives that require no quest markers or explicit telling. They're simply there, part of the fabric of Skyrim, adding depth and emotional weight to the landscape. The choice to include this secret, knowing most players would never find it, shows a commitment to world building that goes beyond what's necessary for gameplay. It suggests that Skyrim exists as a place, not just as a game map, that stories unfold in its mountains and valleys, whether or not the player is there to witness them. Ingel Barrow's mysterious orbs. East of Windhelm lies Ingel Barrow, an ancient Nordic tomb that most players never discover. Unlike many dungeons in Skyrim, no quest explicitly directs you here, though you might stumble upon it during exploration or hear about it through rumour. The barrow takes its name from Ingel, an ancient Nord warrior whose ghost is said to haunt its depths. What makes Ingel Barrow special is its atmosphere. Most Nordic tombs in Skyrim follow a similar pattern. Dark corridors, Draugr enemies, pressure plate traps, and the ever-present sound of dripping water. Ingel Barrow has some of these elements, but it also has something unique. Glowing orbs that follow you through the dungeon. These mysterious blue-white spheres of light appear as you progress deeper into the barrow. They hover in the air, pulsing with a gentle glow, and they track your movement. They don't attack. They don't harm you. They simply observe. It's eerie in a way that transcends simple horror. The orbs create an atmosphere of being watched, of ancient spirits acknowledging your presence. The orbs illuminate the fog that fills parts of the barrow, creating ethereal lighting effects that make the entire dungeon feel otherworldly. Combined with the relative lack of enemies for much of the barrow, this creates a sense of tranquility mixed with unease. You're not fighting for your life at every turn, but you never quite feel safe either. The barrow's design is also notable for its unique lighting. Natural light filters in from cracks in the ceiling, creating shafts of illumination that pierce the darkness. Combined with the glowing orbs, this creates a visual atmosphere unlike any other dungeon in the game. It's beautiful in its own haunted way, a place that feels both sacred and sorrowful. The culmination of your journey through Ingel Barrow is a confrontation with Ingel Shade, a powerful spectral entity that guards the final chamber. Unlike the Draugr that fill most Nordic tombs, this is a unique enemy, a ghost bound to this place by some ancient oath or curse. Defeating the Shade allows you to claim the Helm of Ingel, a valuable piece of equipment that provides protection against cold and frost. But the real treasure of Ingel Barrow is the experience itself. The dungeon is an example of environmental design creating atmosphere and story without relying on heavy-handed exposition. The glowing orbs raise questions. Are they spirits? Ancient magic? Ingel's companions trapped here with him? The game never explicitly explains, trusting players to form their own interpretations. The secret of Velok beneath the College of Winterhold, in the area known as the Midden Dark, lies a secret that many players discover by accident, but few fully understand. The Midden is a sprawling network of tunnels and chambers beneath the college, used for storage, dangerous experiments, and as a dumping ground for things the mages would rather forget about. In one particular chamber, you'll find a scene of carnage. Blood stains the floor, skeletons lie scattered about, and at the center of it all is a strange gauntlet-shaped structure with a glowing orb at its center. The atmosphere is oppressive, suggesting that something terrible happened here. some experiment or ritual that went catastrophically wrong. Near the gauntlet, you'll find an incident report that provides context. A group of mages attempted to summon a Dremora, a powerful Daedric entity, intending to bind it and extract information or favors. The ritual required 4 specific magical rings to be placed on the gauntlet's fingers. But something went wrong. The binding didn't hold completely, and everyone involved died. The quest Forgotten Names begins if you can locate these 4 rings, scattered throughout Skyrim in various locations. Each ring must be found, and none are easy to obtain. They're hidden in dungeons, guarded by powerful enemies, or held by specific NPCs who won't part with them willingly. Collecting all 4 requires dedicated exploration and often combat. Once you have all 4 rings, return to the Middendark and place them on the gauntlet's fingers. As the 4th ring slides into place, magical energy begins to swirl around the structure. The air crackles with power, reality seems to bend, and suddenly, you're face to face with Velok the Dremora pirate those ancient mages attempted to bind. Velok is unusual among Dremora. Most are warriors, serving various Daedric princes in Oblivion's plains. But Velok was a pirate, raiding ships across various planes of existence before the mages captured him. He's been trapped in that gauntlet for possibly hundreds of years, and he's not happy about his imprisonment. You have choices in dealing with Velok. You can fight him, which triggers a challenging battle against a powerful Daedric entity. Or you can choose to release him, freeing him from his bondage. If you fight and defeat him, you can claim his unique equipment and items. But if you release him, he rewards you with a map leading to a hidden treasure cache. Grateful for his freedom despite his long imprisonment, the choice carries weight. Do you trust a Dremora pirate to honor his word? Will he simply attack once freed, or will he genuinely reward your mercy? The game allows both options, and both have consequences. Fighting him nets immediate rewards, but continues a cycle of conflict that's defined Velok's existence. Releasing him shows mercy to a being who has suffered imprisonment, regardless of what crimes he may have committed. This entire quest line can be completely missed. The Middendark is optional, the rings are scattered without any indication of their connection, and the incident report is easy to overlook. But for players who piece together the puzzle, who collect all 4 rings and summon Velok Sign, it provides one of the game's most interesting moral choices and a window into the college's darker history. The Phantom Carriage travels Skyrim's roads at night, particularly in the southern holds near Riften or Falkreath, and you might witness something that defies explanation. A spectral carriage, pulled by ghostly horses and driven by an unseen coachman, materializes on the road ahead. The carriage moves with purpose, traveling from one location to another on a predetermined route that takes it across several holds. Unlike the Headless Horseman, who rides alone on a fixed path to a single destination, the Phantom Carriage's route is longer and more complex. It travels between cities, passing through countryside and forest, visible only at night, and only to those in the right place at the right time. The horses pulling it are ethereal, their forms translucent, their hooves making no sound on the road. Players have documented multiple sightings of this phenomenon, mapping its routes and trying to determine if there's a pattern or purpose to its journey. Does the carriage follow ancient trade routes? Is it replaying a journey taken long ago, its driver unaware that death has claimed them? The game provides no answers, no quest tied to the carriage, no dialogue or lore books explaining its existence. What makes the phantom carriage particularly intriguing is that it seems to exist in Skyrim's background, unnoticed by NPCs, unconnected to any storyline. It's a genuine mystery, something the developers included without explanation, trusting that players would appreciate its presence without needing every question answered. Some players have tried to interact with the carriage, running alongside it, shooting arrows at it, attempting to board it or stop it. But the carriage is intangible, passing through obstacles that would stop a physical vehicle, immune to any attempts at interaction. It simply follows its route, night after night, a ghost of Skyrim's past forever travelling roads it once knew in life. The existence of such atmospheric details demonstrates Bethesda's commitment to making Skyrim feel like a living world. Not everything exists to be interacted with, some things simply are, adding to the world's mystique and encouraging players to observe, to wonder, to question. The phantom carriage is content to remain an enigma, a fleeting vision on a dark road, gone as quickly as it appeared, leaving players to contemplate what they've witnessed. The secret of the book, the Wolf Queen. Throughout Skyrim, you'll find books, hundreds of them, filling shelves in homes, scattered in dungeons, carefully archived in libraries. Most players ignore these tomes, viewing them as environmental decoration or minor lore dumps not worth reading. But some books in Skyrim contain secrets beyond their text, and one of the most elaborate examples is the 8-volume series, The Biography of Barenziah. This series details the life of Barenziah, who served as Queen of Morrowind and played significant roles in events throughout the Elder Scrolls series. The books are scattered throughout Skyrim, and reading all 8 volumes is itself an achievement. But what most players don't realize is that these books contain clues to one of the game's most time-consuming treasure hunts. Hidden throughout Skyrim are 24 stones of Barenziah, unusually cut gems that seem like ordinary quest items when you first find one. Pick up your first stone, and it's added to your miscellaneous quests with the vague instruction, bring the unusual gem to an appraiser. But finding one stone is just the beginning. There are 23 more scattered throughout the world, and locating them all requires visiting almost every major location in the game. The stones are hidden in keeps, buried in dungeons, placed in guild halls, tucked away in houses both modest and grand. Some are in plain sight, sitting on tables or shelves. Others are hidden behind secret doors or in locked rooms accessible only during specific quests. Several stones can be permanently missed if you don't retrieve them during certain quests before the locations become inaccessible. Collecting all 24 stones reveals their nature. They're fragments of a crown that once belonged to Barenziah herself. Bringing them all to the Thieves' Guild allows a skilled craftsman to restore the crown, an item of legendary beauty and historical significance. But the crown isn't the only reward. Once restored, you receive the Prowler's Prophet ability, which causes gems to appear much more frequently in treasure chests throughout Skyrim. This passive effect makes the player significantly wealthier over time, as valuable gems begin appearing in abundance. The quest to collect the stones of Barenziah is infamous among Skyrim players. It's time-consuming, requires meticulous exploration, and offers no guidance beyond these stones exist somewhere. Players have created detailed guides mapping every stone's location, and entire online communities have formed around helping people find that one last stone they're missing. This quest exemplifies both the best and most frustrating aspects of Skyrim's secret content. It rewards thorough exploration, provides a tangible benefit for completion, and ties into the game's lore. But it's also easy to miss stones, frustrating to track them all down, and the lack of in-game guidance means many players either give up or resort to online guides. Still, for those who complete it, there's a genuine sense of accomplishment in having found every last stone and restored Barenziah's crown. The Elder Council chambers, deep within the Thalmor embassy, a location most players visit only once during a main quest mission, lies a room that serves no gameplay purpose, but tells a story about Skyrim's political situation. During the quest Diplomatic Immunity, you infiltrate the embassy, searching for information about the dragon's return. The main route through the embassy takes you through servant quarters, torture chambers, and offices. But careful exploration reveals additional areas. One such area is what appears to be a meeting room designed for the Elder Council, the governing body of the Empire. The room is set up for official proceedings, with appropriate furniture and decorations, suggesting this space was used for important meetings between Thalmor officials and Imperial representatives. The attention to detail in this room's design indicates it was meant to be discovered, to add depth to players' understanding of the political machinations at play in Skyrim. The presence of such a room in the Thalmor embassy is significant. The Thalmor are the elven supremacist faction that dominates the Aldmeri Dominion, and their embassy in Skyrim serves as a center for their operations in the province. The fact that they have a room specifically for Elder Council meetings suggests the extent of their influence over imperial politics. The Empire, weakened by civil war and the loss of several provinces, has become increasingly dependent on the Dominion, a dependency the Thalmor ruthlessly exploit. Finding this room provides context for the larger political story playing out in Skyrim. The Civil War questline pits Stormcloaks against the Empire, but the real power behind the throne is the Thalmor, who benefit from the conflict weakening both sides. This room is evidence of that influence, a space where Thalmor and Imperial officials meet away from public scrutiny, where deals are struck and policies determined. Most players never find this room because they're focused on completing their objective and leaving the embassy as quickly as possible. The mission is tense, requiring stealth or combat, and the player's priority is gathering intelligence and escaping. But for those who take time to explore thoroughly, who investigate every locked door and hidden passage, the discovery of the Elder Council chambers adds another layer to Skyrim's political intrigue. The secret meanings of shadow marks. Join the Thieves Guild, and you gain access to their base in Riften's Ratway, a network of underground tunnels and chambers where the guild conducts its business away from the City Watch's eyes. The guild's quest line involves pulling various heists, building the guild's reputation, and eventually restoring it to its former glory. But along the way, attentive players will notice strange symbols etched near doorways, on walls, and beside entrances throughout Skyrim. These are shadow marks, a secret code used by the Thieves Guild to communicate with members without alerting outsiders to their meaning. Each symbol conveys specific information. This building is safe to enter. That one contains valuable loot. Another is protected by guards or guards' traps. and some locations should be avoided entirely. The marks allow thieves to share intelligence without speaking, marking paths and warnings for guild members who know how to read them. In the Thieves Guild's headquarters, you can find a book called Shadow Marks that explains the meaning of each symbol. Once you've studied this book, you begin to notice the marks everywhere. They're throughout Riften, marking which businesses are under guild protection and which can be robbed without consequences. But they also appear in every other city in Skyrim, suggesting the guild's reach extends far beyond Riften, that these marks have been placed by thieves over many years. Understanding shadow marks changes how you view Skyrim cities. What once seemed like random decorative scratches on walls become a hidden language, a communication network that's always been there but invisible until you learn to see it. A particular symbol indicates this house contains treasure worth stealing. Another warns that the owner is dangerous. A third marks a location as a safe house, where thieves can lay low when things get hot. The Shadow Mark system is an example of Skyrim's attention to detail, creating depth beyond gameplay mechanics. The marks don't provide quest markers or explicit instructions. They're simply there, consistent with the world building, adding authenticity to the Thieves Guild's operations. In a real thieves organization, such a code would be essential, allowing communication without risk of interception or betraying members to authorities. The marks also appear in dungeons and ruins, suggesting generations of thieves have explored Skyrim's depths, leaving warnings and directions for those who follow. A mark indicating danger might warn of a strong enemy or deadly trap ahead. One showing treasure points to hidden caches or valuable loot. The guild's history is written in these symbols, scattered across the province in a language only they understand. The Sleeping Tree Cave northwest of Whiterun, marked by a single massive tree that stands out from the surrounding landscape, lies a cave that seems unremarkable at first. The sleeping tree itself is beautiful, ancient, and mysteriously vibrant despite Skyrim's harsh climate. But the cave beneath it holds secrets that connect to one of Skyrim's most interesting NPCs. Inside the cave, you'll find a small group of orcs engaged in an unusual enterprise. They're harvesting sap from the sleeping tree and distilling it into a powerful hallucinogenic substance. The orcs are protective of their operation, and they'll attack if you intrude. But if you defeat them and explore the cave, you begin to piece together the story of this place. Journal entries scattered throughout the cave reveal that the orcs discovered the tree's sap had unique properties, producing vivid dreams and visions when consumed. They've been harvesting it secretly, using it themselves, and possibly selling it to others. The sap itself, sleeping tree sap, is a powerful alchemical ingredient that can be collected if you know what you're looking for. But the most intriguing discovery in the cave is a note from Isolde, one of Skyrim's more interesting NPCs. Isolde lives in Whiterun, and she seems like a simple merchant with dreams of one day running her own trading company. But this note reveals she has connections to the Sleeping Tree Cave's operation, suggesting a much darker side to her character than her friendly demeanor indicates. Following this thread, you can confront Isolde about the note. Her response reveals she's been involved in various less than legal operations, suggesting that her merchant aspirations involve trafficking in substances like sleeping tree sap. This adds depth to her character, showing that in Skyrim's world, few people are simply what they appear to be. The cheerful merchant has a shadow side, connections to criminal enterprises, a willingness to profit from substances that distort the mind and potentially harm users. The Sleeping Tree Cave quest line is easy to miss entirely. There's no quest marker leading you there, and Isolde's involvement only becomes apparent if you read the note and make the connection to her. But for players who investigate thoroughly, it provides another example of Skyrim's environmental storytelling, where locations tell stories through items and context rather than explicit exposition. The cave also raises questions about the sleeping tree itself. Why does it produce this hallucinogenic sap? Is it natural, or is there something magical about the tree? Is it connected to something deeper, perhaps tied to the ancient history of Skyrim, or events from ages past? The game provides no definitive answers, content to let the mystery remain, trusting players to speculate and form their own theories. The time wound at the throat of the world. During Skyrim's main quest line, you journey to the summit of the throat of the world to learn the Dragon Wren Shout, a power created specifically to combat dragons during the Dragon War. To accomplish this, you must use an Elder Scroll to peer into the past, witnessing the moment when ancient Nord heroes first used Dragonrend against Alduin himself. The Elder Scroll creates what the game calls a time wound, a tear in the fabric of time that allows glimpses into past events. Using the scroll at the time wound's location, you witness events from thousands of years ago as if they're happening before you. You see the three ancient heroes, Gormleth Goldenhilt, Hakon One-Eye, and Felder the Old, confronting Alduin. You learn the Dragonwren Shout by hearing them speak its words. After the main quest concludes, the time wound remains at the summit. Most players never return to this location after completing the relevant quest, assuming it has served its purpose and has nothing left to offer. But the time wound is more than just a quest location. If you return and observe it carefully, you'll notice it continues to shimmer with temporal energy, reality wavering around it like heat distortion on a summer day. The time wound's continued existence has implications for Skyrim's world. It's a permanent tear in time, a place where past and present exist simultaneously. Scholars of the Elder Scrolls series understand that such temporal anomalies are dangerous and unpredictable. The moth priests who study Elder Scrolls risk going blind or mad from exposure to the knowledge contained within them. A permanent time wound could have effects that ripple out across Skyrim, subtle influences on events and destinies. Some players report strange experiences when returning to the time wound. Sounds seem to echo strangely, vision blurs momentarily, or the environment seems to shift in ways that are difficult to describe. Whether these are intentional design choices or players' imaginations creating patterns from random glitches is unclear. But the time wound's presence adds to the feeling that the throat of the world is a place of power, where the normal rules of reality don't fully apply. The location also serves as a physical reminder of the main quest's events. Long after you've completed the story, defeated Alduin, and moved on to other adventures, the time wound remains. It's a scar on the world, proof that you wielded an Elder Scroll and peered into history itself. Some choices in games have no lasting physical impact, but the time wound ensures that this moment, this crucial point in Skyrim's history, left a permanent mark on the world. the Ebony Warrior's Challenge. Reach level 80, a significant accomplishment requiring dedication and skill, and you'll receive a visit from one of Skyrim's most formidable opponents. The Ebony Warrior seeks you out personally, approaching you in any major city to issue a challenge. He claims he's accomplished everything he set out to do in life, defeated every foe, mastered every skill, and now seeks only a worthy death in honorable combat. He believes you might be the one to grant him that final wish. The Ebony Warrior is unlike any other enemy in Skyrim. He's equipped with the best armor and weapons, knows powerful shouts including unrelenting force and frost breath, and has massive health and stamina pools. He reflects a percentage of damage back at attackers, can become ethereal to avoid damage, and fights with tactical intelligence that surpasses most enemies. In essence, he's a player character built for maximum combat effectiveness, turned against you. The fight takes place at his chosen location, a remote peak in the mountains where no one will interfere. It's a duel, one warrior against another, with no distractions or outside help. The Ebony Warrior wants a clean fight, a sheer test of pure skill and power. Defeating him is one of the most challenging accomplishments in base Skyrim, requiring preparation, strategy, and mastery of your chosen build. What makes the Ebony Warrior especially interesting is his motivation. He's not evil, not trying to conquer or destroy. He simply seeks an ending worthy of his accomplishments. He's a Nord who has lived by the warrior code, and he wants to die in battle rather than fade away from old age or illness. By challenging you, he's showing respect, acknowledging that you've become powerful enough to potentially grant him this honor. After defeating him, you can loot his equipment, which is among the best in the game. His armor, weapons, and items represent years of adventuring and achievement. But the real reward is the knowledge that you've overcome one of Skyrim's greatest challenges, a fight designed specifically for high-level players who thought they'd seen everything the game had to offer. The Ebony Warrior also raises philosophical questions about the warrior's path. In Nord culture, dying in battle ensures entry to Sovngarde, the hero's hall where brave warriors feast eternally. The Ebony Warrior seeks to ensure his place there by finding an honorable death. But is it truly honorable to seek out death? Does the desire to die in combat contradict the warrior's duty to survive and protect? The game doesn't answer these questions, letting players form their own conclusions about the Ebony Warrior's quest and its implications. This encounter represents Skyrim's endgame content, a challenge reserved for players who have pushed their characters to the highest levels. It rewards dedication and skill, providing a memorable confrontation that caps off a player's journey through Skyrim's content. The hidden message in dragon language. Throughout Skyrim, you'll encounter word walls, ancient Nordic monuments inscribed with words of power in the dragon language. These walls teach you shouts, adding words to your vocabulary and increasing your ability to use the Thu'um. Each wall bears not just the word you learn, but also longer inscriptions in dragon tongue, historical records or philosophical statements written by those who built the walls. Most players read these translations if they appear on screen, but few study them carefully. However, the inscriptions contain hidden meanings, references to events in Skyrim's history, and sometimes direct messages that break the fourth wall in subtle ways. The dragon language itself was carefully constructed by Bethesda, a functional conlang with grammar, vocabulary, and consistent rules. Every inscription can be translated, and dedicated fans have created dictionaries and guides to help decipher them. One particularly interesting inscription appears on the word wall at High Hrothgar, where you learn the second word of the unrelenting force shout. Among the dragon language text is a phrase that, when translated, reveals the line "Oblivion hath no fury like a shield maiden scorned." This is a clever reference to a famous English proverb about scorned women, adapted to fit Skyrim's Nordic setting by substituting shield maiden for woman and oblivion for hell. This kind of linguistic Easter egg appears throughout the word walls. Some inscriptions reference events from previous Elder Scrolls games. Others make philosophical statements about the nature of power and mortality. And some simply tell stories from the Dragon War. The care taken to make these inscriptions authentic and translatable shows Bethesda's commitment to world building. They could have filled the walls with meaningless symbols, but instead, they created genuine text in a constructed language, knowing that dedicated players would take the time to translate and analyze every word. The dragon language also appears in books, on banners, and in spoken dialogue throughout the game. Characters use dragon words when speaking. Dragons communicate in their native tongue, and the greybeards rarely speak the common tongue, preferring to communicate in the language of dragons. This linguistic consistency adds depth to Skyrim's world, suggesting that the dragon language isn't just a plot device, but a real language with history and cultural significance. For players interested in lore, translating word wall inscriptions provides insights into Skyrim's history that aren't available anywhere else. You learn about specific battles from the Dragon War, about the heroes who fought against dragon domination, about the philosophy behind the shouts and their proper use. These details enrich the world, transforming what could be simple power-ups into windows into ancient history. The secret blessing of lovers scattered throughout Skyrim are standing stones, ancient monuments that grant blessings to those who activate them. Most players are familiar with the Guardian Stones near Helgen, where you choose between blessings that enhance combat, magic, or stealth. But there are more standing stones throughout Skyrim, each offering different bonuses, and finding them all is part of complete exploration. One of the more interesting stones is the Lover Stone, found south of Markarth, near Lake Ilinalta. The blessing it grants is powerful, increasing the rate at which all skills improve by 15%. This makes it arguably the best standing stone for general play, as it accelerates character development across all areas rather than specializing in one. But there's a secret to the Lover Stone that many players never discover. If you're married in Skyrim, you can receive an additional blessing from your spouse. Sleeping in the same house as your spouse grants the Lover's Comfort effect, which provides a temporary boost to skill advancement. This stacks with the Lover Stone's blessing, effectively supercharging your character's learning rate. But here's the secret. You can have both the Lover Stone's blessing and a different standing stone's blessing active simultaneously if you time it correctly. The game's mechanics allow for a brief period where both effects coexist, giving you advantages from multiple sources. Skilled players have learned to exploit this, combining the Lover Stone's bonus with combat or magic bonuses from other stones, creating character builds that shouldn't be possible under normal circumstances. The marriage system in Skyrim is itself full of hidden benefits. Your spouse can open a shop, generating passive income. They'll cook you meals that grant temporary bonuses. Some spouses have unique dialogue or quests associated with them. And certain marriages open up access to locations or items that wouldn't otherwise be available. The system is deeper than it initially appears, rewarding players who invest in relationships rather than just treating every NPC as a quest giver or vendor. The Loverstone's location near the Silver Moon shipwreck creates a thematically appropriate connection. Love and loss are intertwined at this location, the Loverstone offering its blessing, while beneath the lake, the sunken ship holds the remains of its lost captain. It's a juxtaposition that speaks to Skyrim's design philosophy, where locations have multiple layers of meaning and stories intersect in unexpected ways. Now, as our journey through these 150 secrets draws to a close, it's worth reflecting on what makes Skyrim such a special game, even years after its release. These secrets, from grand quests to tiny environmental details, represent only a fraction of what the game contains. Every mountain peak, every cave entrance, every book on a shelf has the potential to reveal something new, something unexpected, something that adds another layer to this intricate world. Skyrim's design encourages exploration not through explicit rewards, but through the joy of discovery itself. Finding the Notched Pickaxe doesn't fundamentally change your playthrough, but standing at the peak of the throat of the world, having climbed higher than the game's main quest ever asked you to, creates a moment of genuine achievement. Stumbling upon the mournful giant doesn't grant you legendary weapons, but it changes how you see the world, adding emotional depth to creatures you might have previously dismissed as simple enemies. These secrets exist because Bethesda understood that a truly immersive world needs to feel alive, needs to have stories in its corners that most players will never witness. It's the knowledge that somewhere out there, hidden in Skyrim's vast landscape, there are still discoveries waiting, still mysteries unsolved, still tales untold. This philosophy of design ensures that even after hundreds of hours, the game can still surprise you, can still show you something you've never seen before. The community that has formed around discovering and documenting these secrets is itself a testament to Skyrim's depth. Players share their findings, debate interpretations, create guides and maps, and collectively uncover details that would take any individual player years to find alone. This communal exploration extends Skyrim beyond its programming, turning it into a shared cultural experience where discoveries are celebrated and mysteries are puzzled over together. As you close your eyes tonight, perhaps you'll dream of Skyrim's snowy peaks and ancient ruins. You might wander through Blackreach's luminescent caverns or stand atop Bard's Leap summit, preparing for that leap of faith. You might encounter Mike the Liar on a moonlit road, or witness the Headless Horseman riding through the darkness. These secrets, these stories, these moments of discovery, they're all waiting for you, patient and eternal, in the frozen north of Skyrim. Until next time, keep exploring, keep discovering, and keep finding the magic hidden in the details. The roads of Skyrim are long, the adventures endless, and the secrets, well, we've only just begun to scratch the surface. Drop a comment below and let me know where you're tuning in from tonight and what other games you want to see next. If you enjoy these relaxing explorations, make sure to subscribe so you never miss the next one. Safe travels, cozy night. May your roads lead you to warm sands.